Welcome to Under the Fig Tree podcast. In today's episode, hosts Reverend Micah Glenn and Reverend Dr. Ben Haupt talk theology and life as they meditate under the fig tree.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Under the Fig Tree. I figured I was going to do it, and I was going to catch you off guard.
What's up?
I just, this is the thing. I've said this off camera. I've said it off podcast.
We didn't even talk about this, man.
We didn't. No.
Yeah.
So this is where I am. And now again, if you're a avid listener or watcher of YouTube, and I've just done that introduction, and you have severe problems with it, comment. If there are no comments,
We're not going to do a second take?
no.
I think Ben does it better.
So exactly.
That is most certainly not true.
So, welcome everyone. I'm your host, Reverend Micah Glenn, to Under the Fig Tree podcast. Now that I've completely messed up and ruined the introduction, of course, joined by Dr. Ben Haupt and a new-ish co-worker of ours, Kati Gaschler. Is that
That's correct.
Well, Well, anyway, we won't get into the whole why I paused at your last name. I know your name. I know your maiden name as well. But anyway, that's not the point.
No one needs to know that.
Listen, exactly. That's why I did the safe one first. And if you wanted to change it, I'm always open to be corrected. Well, welcome to the podcast and welcome to CSL.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Good. It's kind of been a whirlwind, but good.
It's official now because she got introduced to the faculty today.
Oh,
so
yeah. Then
yeah.
Now it's, again, I feel like once a week we say something happens and we say it's official. And I don't know, it's going to be next week.
I like to say it's official, I think. That's my thing.
Well, you've listened to a couple of episodes, so you know traditionally I've said like what's up, what's up, what's up. And that's been it's all because like the very first episode
because you're cool enough to say that and I'm not.
Well, Ben was like this is my first podcast I've ever hosted. The only podcast I've ever hosted. And when we were like first starting, we were like, it was like, well, why don't you introduce it? Why don't you? We went back and forth, and eventually that's what blurted out of my mouth. And you know now that my filter is not super filtered. And I just wanted to try it out, see how it felt. Personally, it felt okay. Welcome to the podcast.
It just felt to me like, I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll have to talk about it post-production.
Ben is fidgety.
We make decisions together, All right, enough of that. Kati, it's so good to have you on, and we want to hear a little bit about your story. We want to hear a little bit about your work. We want to hear a little bit about the new church that you are a member of now. And so, but let's start with kind of give us your background. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and you can include whatever details you want to include.
Oh, boy. So I'm a PK. My dad was a pastor here, actually, in St. Louis until I was 5. He was at Reformation in Afton, which is a beautiful church. And my dad is Dr. Tim Quill. So
Shout out to the Quills.
Yep. Shout out to the Quills, who I don't know if they could figure out how to watch a podcast or listen to a podcast. We'll see.
If you share a link, hopefully that'll help. Yeah.
Maybe. Hi, Mom and Dad. Love you. So then when we left here when I was 5. We moved to Fort Wayne. Mm-hmm. And my dad was a professor at the seminary there. And
at a seminary?
Just one of the seminaries, And I worked on and off there in high school, throughout college. After college, I worked there. That's where I met my husband, Paul. And we got married on Vicarage. And we then came back to Fort Wayne for our last year. I should say his last year. I didn't do anything.
That's the vernacular. I mean, you have to go through it. So,
yeah.
It was
Our
yeah,
experience. Yeah.
You plural last year.
Yes.
Yes.
And then he got a call to Concordia Lutheran Church. I shouldn't have to specify that. In Greenwood, Indiana, which is just south of Indianapolis. And that's where we had been for the last 4 years. And he just accepted the call to be associate pastor at Holy Cross here in St. Louis.
Woohoo.
Woohoo.
So, yeah. He
it was
just got installed last weekend.
Yeah. It was an awesome service.
Yeah.
They were really, really creative. Probably the most creative bulletin or worship folder that I've ever seen in my entire life. They literally had people who in the congregation who had written out, in some places letter by letter.
Oh, sure.
But in other places, like in really nice handwriting, the preface or the Sanctus.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it was this. It was filled with art. I mean, not surprising for Holy Cross and Intersect Arts. Very
DNA of the
creative congregation. It was really well done. There was spectacular music. So yeah.
Yeah.
Now you glided very quickly over your college, and I just want to return to that because. I think where you went to college is really, really important. It was certainly important for me as I was, weighing heavily who we were going to hire for this role. So just go ahead and say where you went to college.
Well, the first 2 years I was at Concordia Ann Arbor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
See, did all
Didn't
that.
know that.
That wasn't on your resume.
Well, no, because I graduated from Concordia, Wisconsin.
Oh, Concordia, Wisconsin. I've heard about that school. It's a good school.
It is.
Yeah. Friends don't let friends go to, what was that school again? Have you heard that story?
Which one?
My high school friends. My high school friend David Ruffner, if you're watching, shout out to you and shame on you. He led some friends like Mark Burkholtz and Jonathan Mummy and
Sound like great guys already.
And Jeremiah Johnson, and they made these T-shirts called on the back of them it said "Friends don't let friends go to Mequon."
Oh.
And they were all at Concordia, Chicago. So now you know why I've always had a little bit of kind of an edge, like a grudge that I even hold against you.
That's fine. So the pettiness I can appreciate. I try not to do it with local high schools. I may have gone to one. We'll move past that quickly.
Because we're not really from St. Louis. Katie didn't go to St. Louis for high school.
And all of our local Lutheran schools are fantastic, as well as our Concordias. But you were also at CUW well before I was at Concordia Chicago. So I'm not that upset about your grudge with Concordia Chicago, because it's a Concordia Chicago that's not really.
They're both great schools.
Related to me. You know
I just have some personal stuff. I'm still getting over it.
The world didn't really mean that much to me.
Yeah.
I was like in high school, maybe middle school, somewhere around there. So
go Falcons. That's all I have to say about that. And we're moving on. This is how it is on the podcast.
So Katie, in college, start at Ann Arbor, move over to Mequon. I mean, they're both on or close to a lake. Wait, no. Ann Arbor is not really on Lake Michigan.
No.
It's closer to Detroit.
Yeah.
It's like
okay.
right here,
There's
right?
this whole other state in between them. Yeah.
So it's, over here.
Yeah.
For reference, though, we did our vicarage over here.
Well, look at that.
So
Kalamazoo?
No. Montague, Michigan, which is about 20 minutes north of Muskegon.
Okay.
It's about 45 minutes away from Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
So, but
any beer brewed there?
I don't drink beer.
There's a lot of great beer brewed in Western Michigan.
That's true.
Yeah.
But. And so then at CUW, what were you studying and what did you picture doing as when you grew up? Because you're kind of grown up now. So, you got a job anyway.
Well, when I was at Ann Arbor, I was an art major. And I started there because it was a little bit closer to home. Transferred to Wisconsin because their art students can take at least when I was there, their art students could take classes at the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design.
Oh.
So I transferred and had I was a photography major. Just really wasn't for me. Just wasn't feeling it. Mm-hmm. So I ended up switching to psychology, which I really loved. And that was the degree I ended up with. And as far as what I pictured, I have no idea what I pictured.
Well, I didn't know you studied psychology.
Right.
I bet this little banter
have you
has been
analyzed us,
yeah.
and do you have us figured out?
Now the fear sets in.
Oh, she's looking at me.
Yeah, it is what it is.
In a whole different way, or at least I realize it now.
Well, it's just interesting. And it's not necessary, because I don't put this type of pressure on my children, although if it were the case, because, there is always like PK pressure to do the church work thing. Professionally, I mean, you are kind of doing it professionally. You just didn't have a degree geared towards that necessarily. But it's also like, the fact that you were at Fort Wayne, not only like as a kid, but then even post high school. Well, maybe you'll join the MA program here. No, I'm just messing around. My point is that I was trying to make this connection between you and Dorothy. That's interesting. So Dorothy is big into art. She wanted to be a fashion designer when she was in high school, but then she found out about deaconesses when they moved to the States. And then she pursued that, but she took a ton of art classes, and she also is like a psych major, which I always respect. I don't know the first thing about psychology. I go to a psychologist for therapy, but I think I always find it fascinating when somebody who studied that, who's not necessarily a psychologist, how you put that into practice into the workplace. And again, now that I know that about you, your reasonableness makes sense to me. Does that?
What a compliment.
Does that make sense? Like, sure. And I wasn't trying to do like a backhanded comment. I just, now that we've known each other for a few weeks, the way you handle life, work scenarios, it just seem really balanced. And I think that's nice.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Reasonableness. That's a good word.
Yeah. I try to be balanced, but it's exhausting for me.
It is. It's hard.
Very hard.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to hear a little bit more about your background in art, because I know that you have this website and kind of a side business. And so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I always loved photography. It started in high school. My first photography class was in a dark room, which was pretty incredible. And then I wanted to pursue photojournalism as a career.
Oh.
And I kind of did, but it just kind of fizzled. I just didn't really want to study it anymore. So I kind of got out of the practice of it for a while, but just kind of landed back into it mostly when we moved to Indy. That's Indianapolis, for anyone that doesn't know Indiana. I stumbled across this Instagram profile called Old Churches Indy, and it's a guy by the name of Lee Little who leads these walking tours of churches. He'll pick a Indy neighborhood and do walking tours of churches, and you'll go inside, he'll tell you all the history. And so we decided to do one, and it was so great. And I just happened to grab my camera that day, and I just started photographing the churches that we saw, put them on Instagram. He loved them, did them for a couple more tours. And then after that, he asked if I'd be interested in collaborating with him on a book about Indy's old churches, which I said yes to. Yeah. It was a huge process, but it was really fun. And I got to visit 35 churches in Indy.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
But you have a side business that you didn't really explicitly say. It's okay. So what's the name of your photography business?
It's just Katie Q Photography.
Yeah.
So Katie with an I, no E, Q Photography. Mm-hmm.
We're not sponsored on this podcast. Fingers crossed for Nike someday. It would make my shoe expense
dream
a little
big.
Easier. Listen, that's the only way I know how to dream. But yeah, that's incredible. Well, and it's so kind of then leapfrogging a little bit because we don't have to dive too deeply on growing up in Fort Wayne, making the incredible decision of moving to St. Louis and work for this seminary. But you do. You now work for this seminary as our recruitment coordinator, a new position, one of these things where we've been changing how we interact with the church at large in our practices, and capacity is always the case. And then Ben, I would say, created a new position along with our executive staff. We put it out there, interviewed a couple people, and we landed on you. And so if you wouldn't mind sharing with our audience, Ben and I could do it, but they hear us talk all the time. If you could just briefly share your role and what you do and how you're growing into it, and if you're on the verge of quitting, we'll talk you off the ledge.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's start with that part.
Got it.
No. So I love that it's a new position and I get to make it my own. That's probably like a big selling point for it. But I am helping with kind of three main things. Micah, you and I work together on kind of like the awareness piece of recruitment, kind of following some numbers, seeing, how our efforts are paying off, that kind of thing. I'm also going to be helping a little bit with our Army of Volunteers pilot program. That's the one piece that I haven't delved into as much yet, but it's going to be a really great program. And then I'm also coordinating the campus visits of prospective students, just kind of putting all the pieces together of lodging, food, things like that, and then other things that you guys need help with. So
it's so exciting. We so the title is Coordinator of Recruitment, and we've only ever had one person working in recruitment at the seminary, and he's done a fantastic job and has innovated a lot. But we have three full-time admissions officers, plus our office manager, who's mostly dedicated to the admission side of the house. So it's really good to have an additional person working on recruitment. All three of those things, the recruitment stuff, awareness, the Army volunteers, and the visits are all things that we do in order to connect with new prospective students. Here's a stat that I heard the other day. 95% of our prospective students who come for a visit to Concordia Seminary end up applying.
I believe it.
That's pretty great stats. And it's a pretty great recruitment tactic to, it's not a tactic, but an invitation to, I'm like plotting and scheming here. No, it's just, it's a really important thing for prospective students to be able to get to see this campus, which is absolutely beautiful and glorious, and it's just a lot of fun. I saw recently on Facebook that you're already taking pictures of the campus, which is awesome.
It's hard not to.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whenever I leave, especially this time of the year, and like a noise catches my ear and I turn around, and from where we leave and I look back and Luther Tower's right there and the sky is blue.
Yeah.
I probably have 7 photos, and I don't know if any of them look different in the grand scheme of photography, but it's hard not to snap it. It's just an incredible place to be. Well, and it's one of these things where, because my position was new, and it was actually it was my third call and my third new position as a pastor in the LCMS. And it's one of these things, talking to Dorothy, where she was like, are you just attracted to the new thing again, and where you want to get something going? And there is a little bit of like entrepreneurship aspects of that, but then also it's an institution that I love and I care about, to be able to think about this stuff. And it's not to say that necessarily anything was wrong in the past, but you're looking at the church's need and all these other things, and looking about how we're going about it, having somebody dedicated to recruitment just to refresh the ideas. And one of the things that you're helping with, because we have a lot of less now, which is actually a good thing. There's kind of 2 or 3 of us on the team that are the let's be bold and brave, big ideas people, and let's throw it out there and see what happens. Well, the personalized visits were an idea that I had. I said, let's stop doing so many big events and let's do these personalized visits so people can have their questions answered, so that they can see themselves in the seminary, get this kind of interactive experience. But somebody has to make sure that they have somewhere to stay, that they have a schedule put together, that they get a tour and things like that. And that is just not a skill set. It's something that I could do probably, but it's certainly not a skill set. So again, having somebody on who thinks through that, because I have to imagine we're better at feedback and things like that, things I'm sure you're going to be collecting surveys and things like that, asking about experience and seeing how we can improve. So just to follow up with what Ben was saying, it's nice to have somebody that's going to look at things differently, the way that, especially the way that the pastors on our team do, for the sake of making CSL more available and more experiential and approachable to people. I just think it's going to make life better around here, I think.
Yeah.
Sure.
We've had we've gone through a lot of shifts with our team, and we've worked hard to understand how each team member thinks. And when we were doing the interviews, I explained through this basic idea that Patrick Lencioni has called the 6 types of working genius. We've used that in our team with a lot of, I think, fruit, and it's been very, very helpful. And I was fascinated with the answers that you gave to that question. I don't remember if you even remember exactly how the conversation went, but I kind of explained through all 6 of them. It spells the acronym WIDGET, so wonder, invention, discernment, galvanizing, enablement, and tenacity, from kind of big picture to details. And you had a really interesting answer. Do you remember what you said?
I think I said in my mind the first 2 for me were combined.
Yeah.
And then tenacity, I think.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
my other
Tenacity.
one.
So what's fascinating is there are some team members, especially Micah and me, who are kind of these big picture people. I always trust Micah's intuition, because he just kind of has a gut sense for what's going to work, what's not going to work. And that's incredibly important. But Micah and I would say, aren't the people that are going to get all the details done.
That's a very generous way of saying it.
But what was fascinating to me, because Micah and I both have this high sense of big picture and kind of dreaming new things. We have a couple other team members who are also very interested in innovation, trying new stuff. Your answer on the wonder and invention was really interesting to me, because you kind of like to try new things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think when a team gets a new person who has a new set of eyes for a lot of these things that maybe have been happening for a long time, and this person comes in and kind of starts questioning, well, why is it done like that? That can be really valuable.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where that comes from. Yeah, I'm always looking for ways to do it better if we can. If it's working, fine, but
I love it, and I would only say I want more of that. So you haven't pushed us too much yet. You're still being nice,
reasonable.
But reasonable. You're still being reasonable. But yeah, there's a time when that needs to end, and you just need to be like, come on, seriously, why are we doing that? Yeah, keep it up. But then on the opposite side is this tenacity. So you love to get stuff done, knock stuff out, check stuff off of a list, and make sure that the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, that people have an excellent experience. That was a lot of what you did at Concordia Theological Seminary, Fort Wayne, when you worked there, right? With orientation and working with the dean's office, just to make sure that students were taken care of.
Yeah, all the little details was kind of my thing there, of just once they are coming here, okay, now what? They need a dorm, they need all these things. That was kind of my thing. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, yeah, and you've come on like at a interesting time, not just because now at least a part of the core of our team, not to say that you're not a core of the team, but like the people who were on the team before you. I don't know what's the way to say that. You're new to the team.
The OGs.
Exactly.
The OGs.
Well, the thing is that like
there's only two of us.
It's not to split hairs. Yeah, exactly. Like other than Ben, I'm the most senior person on our staff now, and it's coming up on 4 years. Well, anyway,
I would love to have just heard what all just went through Micah's mind. There was a giggle there, and it was like, wonder. From your psychology background, do you have a sense of what he was thinking?
Yeah, but I probably shouldn't repeat it.
Okay, that's probably good. Yeah. That's a really wise psychology person. Reasonable, and deeply analytical.
Well, it's not like scandalous, but the filter actually kicked in. It's like, anyway.
Now I really want to know. It's not scandalous, but no, just keep going. No.
Okay. You're making this scandal. No, I'm just messing around. Well, anyway, because you came and like within a week we had our orientation, which is it's a big event. It's one of these things where in the department, if we're going to do something, we don't half step. Again, from our personalized visits, even though it's a 2-day thing, that's why having somebody to coordinate it, because we want it's going to happen along with the other events. If you're listening, again, as always, you're kind of on, I don't know yet. We have an event called Vocatio Retreat for college age and second career. Check it out on the internet. See if fall registration is still open. If not, there's another one in the spring. So get another crack at it, sometime to plan. The point is that you came on and we started doing all these new things, and now we created your role to help us manage these things. Just kind of briefly, because you were a SEM wife not that long ago, and I imagine we might have some potential SEM wives listening now. And you think about the things that we're doing in our department to bring people, to help them see themselves here. What are some things that you've experienced so far that have been good? If you have some things that aren't that great, this ain't the episode for it. But then I don't know if there is an episode for it.
Later.
Yeah, exactly. But then what could or should a potential SEM wife expect coming to Concordia Seminary from your experience so far?
Sure. Well, I was a SEM wife in Fort Wayne, and I actually got the unique experience of seeing the SEM wives experience everything before I was a SEM wife. Right. And both seminaries support seminary wives and spouses. Sometimes there are deaconess students that come bring their husbands. They're already married, who are not MDiv students. It happens. It's weird, but it happens. And by weird, I mean unusual. Yeah. Not okay.
It's
just edit that out.
No. It's
you get it. Yeah. So both seminaries do a really good job of supporting spouses. As a community, there's classes at both seminaries. There's fellowship opportunities. For example, this morning, Tori Egger, President Egger's wife, had pre-chapel coffee at her house. She invites any woman on campus to come at her house, and she has like a little breakfast spread and coffee. It's incredible. She's such a nice host, and I believe she hosts some or all, I'm not sure, of the classes for SEM wives at her house.
So what are we talking breakfast spread?
Okay, well, today I had overnight oats.
Oh, wow.
With blackberries A little granola.
We might have to talk to President Egger about hosting a pre-seminary coffee for the guys. Because I mean, this sounds pretty nice.
That's you said. What are overnight oats?
What?
Come on.
Oh, come on.
You're seeing cultures collide at this very moment. And listen, my mom is from the country. She's from St. James, and maybe she just never.
I don't think this is a country thing.
No.
It's a 21st century thing.
Is this like where you just put like oatmeal and water and you let it sit overnight? What is?
I think so. I've never made
No, overnight
them.
oats has yogurt in it, and the idea of overnight oats is you have to, if they're rolled oats, not instant.
Right. Yeah.
Rolled oats, they do need to soak for a while. And typically people put yogurt in them so that the yogurt has a little bit more time to work through the oats.
Okay.
Sorry about my reaction, but I love overnight oats.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was sort of a trending topic, but
I'm not,
was one of those.
This isn't like a
one of those
judgmental
times
thing.
where you look directly at the camera after I talk. I know those times. I see those times.
It's not judgmental. I just listen. I'm sorry. Like this is world breaking to me. I've never heard of overnight oats before, and I'm gonna probably try it. I love oatmeal. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
So that's why you said it. I was like, well, what am I missing out on? What
Maybe
what
I'll
happens?
try to sneak you in next time.
Well, I mean, I'm not opposed. Like if Tori's willing to let me come to pre-chapel coffee on Wednesday mornings, and this is what's going on, I am there, and I can talk to you
Micah
guys
and all
about
the
whatever
ladies.
I need. If whatever gets me in the door, I'm up for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like oatmeal, but it's cold.
Okay. Sorry, I
'Cause
threw
it's
you
in the
off.
fridge. It's fine.
Blackberries, granola for texture, I imagine. And
Yeah.
We'll let you continue to tell us about this bread.
Yeah, she had maybe some scones or some muffins too, some yogurt, and then coffee, of course. So coffee and tea.
I would imagine that gals listening to this would be like, "Wow, all right, this sounds nice."
Oh yeah.
Because
I mean-
I really think that we need to talk to President Egger. Just get a little budget. He can make us a little overnight oats.
Oh, listen.
Yeah,
It sounds
sounds
You
nice.
can buy little overnight oats, little cups
I saw that
in the store,
recently,
and
yeah.
you just add water, I think,
Let's see that.
and
Yeah.
put it in the fridge.
That feels a little cheap. I'm a from scratch kind of guy.
Yeah.
I don't want somebody
Sure.
else making it for me because it might not be as good. That's just true.
I was a every morning cold cereal milk breakfast eater, not cow's milk, but good milk,
Okay.
almond milk. And just maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I switched to overnight oats every morning. I eat them cold. Yogurt, honey, maybe a little walnuts, sometimes some flaxseed, maybe a little
Lost
bit
me
of
at the
chia.
Oh, and she is. Oh, this is getting worse by the.
But
Okay.
then like a spoonful of raspberry jam, or maybe a couple teaspoons of peanut butter.
See, and I just saw a reel where somebody took bacon and they dipped it in pancake batter and fried it like a pancake, and that's what I plan to make on Saturday for breakfast.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So I go back and forth. Our kids love eggs in the morning, but if David does what he does and wakes up at 7:15 when they got to be out the door by 7:30, you're not getting eggs today, buddy. You might not get breakfast. Get ready every day.
There's a
with this
breakfast bar.
kid. But yeah, no, I try to have different breakfasts. I like oatmeal, like eggs, like bacon, but typically I'm a protein shake and cup of coffee kind of guy, just because of kids got to get them ready and out the door.
Protein shake, like scoop of protein, whey protein.
2 scoops, because
Two scoops.
size. You got.
I can't do whey protein, so
I'm sure they have
killer.
vegan protein. Don't make that face when you eat vegan everything else. Vegan cheese.
But vegan protein.
It's vegan cheese. Sorry.
Okay.
We've
It's got to be like beans, or I suppose nuts maybe, but
I
Sorry.
was just gonna say I have so many ideas for ripe for the picking with
Oh,
the
good.
There we go.
vegan protein comments. But
All right.
anyway,
And so
I'll save 'em.
Wednesday coffees,
Yeah.
campus support,
Mm-hmm.
courses for SEMWIVES. And I know you grew up on the seminary campus, But then, that transition is a transition, and your life and experience there is going to be different. How important was that? I was going to say in your decision to go to the seminary together. It wasn't quite the way it worked out. But how vital was it to have that while your husband, Paul?
Paul, yeah.
Names, as I tried really hard. While you guys were there together.
Yeah, again, I had a unique experience since I am from Fort Wayne. I grew up in Fort Wayne. The seminary was not my only support system. I still had my friends and family there. But I witnessed it all, and the class that Paul graduated with, the wives and I still have a Facebook group.
That's awesome.
And we haven't posted in there lately, but when something happens, they do. But my husband actually has a really good core group of friends that he graduated with, and we get together once a year. Awesome. And the wives come too, and it's just good to have some people that understand, because it can be strange.
Yeah.
There's people that travel to seminary from all over, and it can be really different to move to Missouri or Indiana if you're from the Northeast, something like that. And so you can often find people that have had similar experiences and can kind of understand a little bit, leaving family and all that. So, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Since we've talked so much about Fort Wayne and St. Louis, we just have to do it. Name 2 things that you like about the Fort Wayne Seminary campus and 2 things that you love about the St. Louis campus.
Okay, so.
Is that a fair question?
I think that's a great
question.
That's
not too, I'm not too stirring it up or anything.
So the Fort Wayne campus was designed by architect Eero Saarinen, who also did the St. Louis Arch.
Right.
And I think it's beautiful. It was modeled, I could talk about this for a while, so please cut me off. It was modeled after a Scandinavian fishing village with the chapel in the middle and all the buildings surrounding it. And he put a lot of symbolism into his design. Mm-hmm. So the chapel, if you look on campus, all the bricks, except for a couple buildings, are diamond shaped. And most of the buildings, they're horizontal. So they're like an oblong diamond. They're horizontal in the classroom buildings and the community type buildings, which symbolize like our relationship to each other. But when you go in the chapel, they're vertical, which symbolizes our relationship to God.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool. And then I loved my coworkers at the campus there.
Yeah,
I loved student services office.
Yeah.
And my matron of honor is still working there. Shout out to Trina.
There you go.
But then, 2 things I love about here. I don't have anything specific yet because I don't know.
Cut this part out.
Well, so
make stuff up.
This was a great question.
I said I was gonna put her on the spot.
Yeah.
Oh, gee,
what a nightmare. Okay, so I will say, I applied for this job maybe on like a Friday, and then I think, Ben, you emailed me on Monday, and your response said something like, I was thrilled to get your application. And that language just kind of, I don't know, it really struck me as, I could be really valuable here.
Yeah.
And so far, I feel that. I do feel very valued here. And I place a lot of value in this job. I'm really enjoying it.
Good answer. That's a good answer.
It's been a process, moving.
Yeah.
It's been hectic, but it's been really, really good. I'm really excited to be here.
We're really excited to have you on the team because we have so much stuff for you to do, but also because, like I told you right off the bat when you were added to our team text thread, We text a lot as a team, actually, lots of gifts flowing back and forth. And you just jumped right in on like the first day with like some attitude, a little sass. And I was like, oh, I think we picked the right person. And maybe, did you throw sass at Micah, which I think is always kind of appropriate. So yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's good.
I don't recall. Well, and so something you said earlier to go along with the value, we've been incredibly blessed with the people who have not only applied to positions, but the ones you talk about instincts. It's not just mine. It's team instincts. It's like, okay, like this person's going to be a great fit because of these different reasons. And so an episode upcoming, we'll have Jessica Thompson, the other new hire, our new admissions officer for deaconess programs and graduate school and our distance programs, to where after she interviewed, it was like one of these things where it's like talking about widget stuff. We have all these different personalities. We're kind of really strong, especially on one end of the widget. And you and Jessica are perfectly placed on the opposite end to bring balance to the team. But it is one of these things where it's like, we're blessed with people who are dynamic, who have high capacity, who are inventive, that are very skilled and talented.
And fun.
And it's one of these things where, again, it's like, well, what could you be doing? It's always like, well, I feel like every day, okay, somebody will be like, just today, somebody was asking me about something that potentially we could help with recruiting with. And I was like, the task you're asking for, I can't do, not because I don't want to, but literally just don't have the time to build out a schedule like this. And I was like, let me ask and see what we could potentially do. But it's one of these things where like maybe it's big for me, but it feels like a lot of the things that we feel like we're giving you a ton of stuff. It's big for us where we're at in our team, but we give it to you, and you've made a lot of things very simple. Yeah. It's just nice. So talking about feeling valued is just because you're highly valued.
So that was all really good, but you still need one more.
That's all. I wasn't letting her off.
Yeah, I was okay, this is good. We're stalling, but think of all the places that you photographed, because I do agree, Fort Wayne has a beautiful campus. My favorite thing about the Fort Wayne campus is the lake. It is beautiful. When I was a high school student at Concordia Lutheran High School in Fort Wayne, we had Bible studies on Friday nights out at the lake. It was a very formative time for me. But St. Louis has a pretty wonderful, other words were coming to mind, but like a really nice campus. So
along those lines then, I had always seen pictures of the newer stained glass in the chapel.
Oh, sure.
But seeing them in person was a whole different thing.
Yeah.
They are beautiful.
Yeah.
They're stunning. They really are. Just the really bright colors.
Yeah.
I was in chapel today, and in the mornings, just the direction that the sun comes through, it casts all this light onto the floors and the windows, and I just can't stop looking at it. Yeah. It's beautiful. So we have a really beautiful chapel.
I will admit that just today, while I was sitting in chapel, I was off on the one side, sitting right underneath a window, and the reds and the yellows just mesmerized me, and I actually can't tell you exactly what was happening in the service at that moment because I was just so fascinated by the colors. So that's a good answer. I'll take that. I'll take that.
Well, it's one of these. So when I was a student, the windows on the sides were all clear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we just had the one stained glass window.
You'd be looking out and seeing
the
Gail
grass,
mowing lawn.
I was going to say grass getting cut or something like that. Or the student that wasn't in the chapel.
You'd be like, oh, I see.
Well, there wasn't anything wrong with the front window, but it was kind of like it was like a history kind of thing with 3 panes, and it was Rome, Wittenberg, and CSL, like the 3 most historical events in church's history.
Are there other cities
No.
in the world?
Yeah, you know, we'd have to wander out and discover them. But again, like it's one of these things you grow up in congregations, and we're all used to like old-fashioned stained glass, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm I'm with you. When they first put in the front one, I was like, well, what is this going to be? But as more started getting put in, I was like, oh, okay, he's done something remarkable here.
And for me, the biggest thing about the stained glass windows is we finally have Jesus in the windows. And the Timothy Titus window makes sense for the seminary's mission and stuff, right. These two pastors. But it's really nice to be able to see images of Jesus, the crucified, the risen, and the ascended, and how his story fits in with the entire story of the scriptures, which is depicted. So, if you haven't been to campus yet, that would be a great thing for somebody to. Your information's on the website, so you can just give Katie a call, and we'll get you set up with a tour, and we'll make you a tour guide for the stained glass windows.
Well, and we'll give Katie a couple more months to study the history of our seminary, and then she'll have an unlimited list of things that are great about here. She won't struggle to find 2 things. So, I don't know at this moment in time if there's anything else in particular. I mean,
we will ask you at the end of the episode what advice you have for prospective students. So be thinking a little bit on that. But yeah, I think we're ready for some ripe for the picking.
Yeah, you guys will see Katie at some point again before we get there, and again before we get to ripe for the picking. Before I leave it out, again, if you're listening, you had a real issue with the introduction like Ben did, let me know. I would no promises ever from my end, but it felt really good. All right, ripe for the picking or leave it on the tree. So this is by far the most important segment of the podcast, where very subjective topics. If we say it and you like it, it's right for the picking. You don't like it, leave it on the tree.
This is the only reason I agreed to do this.
I appreciate that. And some people will try to be like, you're neither. That's unacceptable. You have to choose. All right. So I'm ready. I can go first because you're still thinking. All right. We've asked once, but I feel like we should ask every guest this when they're new. Right for the picking or leave it on the tree. Pineapple on pizza.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was actually just thinking about that today. Truly. This is weird.
Be very careful how you answer this question.
My job is on the line. Leave it on the tree.
All right.
Yeah,
good answer.
Instincts. We knew you were all right. Yeah.
I'll eat it if it's there. I'm never going to order it.
You don't have to. I'm giving you full permission. It shouldn't be there.
It's like leave the slice in the box is maybe how we should put that.
Yeah. I grew up in not for as long as I was in St. Louis, but I was born in Hawaii. Let me tell you, it's not really a Hawaiian pizza. I get it because of the pineapple thing. If it had Spam on it, that's more Hawaiian than pineapple.
Isn't there barbecue sauce on it too or something? Or am I making that up?
Maybe in Fort Wayne.
There can be. Yowzers. There can be barbecue sauce on some pizzas. Yeah. And I like barbecue pizza, but
it depends on.
I don't know that I've never ever had barbecue.
Maybe I'm making that up.
Pineapple, ham.
It's pineapple. It's just again. It's just not. It's not
from
good.
Bad to worse. You might as well put like green onions and like anchovies on it. It's just like
people are like, "Can you put pineapple on pizza?" I'm like, "Well, you can." I like to take people's.
You have free will.
I like to, when it comes to this. If it were up to me, I would take people's agency completely away, and it would never happen.
Do you like cooked pineapple and other things?
It's fun. Yeah. I love pineapple.
Yeah, like grilled pineapple. Yeah, sure. Yeah, just never on pizza.
Fantastic.
Never ever on pizza.
Just not on a pizza. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
All right. This is a strange one, but we'll see if you've ever done this before. Rappelling. So you get a rope. You're gonna rappel down a wall or down a rock cliff face.
Sure. Yeah. Right for the picking.
Okay. Have you've done this before?
Like on a climbing wall.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I would do it.
It's right for the picking for us.
Yeah.
So at the center of Clayton, there's a rock climbing wall, and our kids are in swim lessons.
Yeah.
Talitha, all of our kids do it, but Talitha is really into it, and she'll time herself, and she tries the most challenging things. And now, like that, she's kind of mastered the wall at the center of Clayton. We go back and forth whether or not we need a membership at a rock climbing gym. But it's money. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
anyway, but yeah, I love rock climbing. Well, I like it. It's right for the picking for me. But I'm big. It makes it challenging sometimes, but it's good.
I'm gonna say it's leave it on the tree for me. I've done a lot of it. When I was in junior ROTC in high school at Concordia in Fort Wayne, and I remember being at the ROTC camp. There was a 60-foot tower, and it was no problem to rappel going down backwards, but they had us also try Aussie style. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Oh, it's face first.
Face first.
Yeah.
They lower you down like this, and you're parallel with the ground, and then you're supposed to like walk down the wall.
Oh.
That might be one of the most terrifying things.
That
I've
seems
ever done.
unnecessary.
It was.
I think maybe what I was thinking is commando style, where you're like belly to the wall and like crawling down it.
Oh no.
Like that.
This is like boop, okay,
I've done
and now
that
just
too.
walk. My knees buckled, and the drill instructor was shouting, "Stop kneeling on my wall!" And
Yeah.
it was definitely
That sounds
leave it on
familiar.
the tree for me.
Sounds very familiar. Well, I was growing up on a military base.
Yikes.
That was like
Yeah,
life for us. Like the obstacle courses that Marines and stuff do. We
Right.
just did that. So
I did it. I can say
you're better for it.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
And
It's good.
never
Never again.
instructions. All right. Here we go. Right for the picking. Leave it on the tree. Birkenstocks.
Leave it on the tree.
Leave it on the tree. 100%.
That was quick. Yeah, let's leave it on the tree for me too. Just never know.
They stink, man.
Well, if you just wear socks, like
Yeah, you can't wear socks
see,
with
and
your
this is-
Birkenstocks.
I mean, but like you should because
What?
the toe is
We're gonna
closed and your
ship you
feet
to
are gonna
Europe.
sit in there. Listen, Europe's okay with me.
Yeah.
But I just listen anyway. Just I don't. There's probably a sock that only covers your toes. That doesn't go on the rest of your foot. That are perfect for
The
Birkenstocks.
foot funk.
Or
one time on the way to church,
Here we go.
We had to take. We. I don't think I can do that. Oh man. Yeah, it was bad.
okay,
He needs a moment.
got it. Stinky feet.
Another one.
All right,
Do
all right.
another one.
I gotta get my phone out now.
Yeah, we didn't even go to church.
Yikes.
Went back home. Whew.
All right. Well, it's 'tis the season, right for the picking. Leave it on the tree. Pumpkin spice. We talked to. Well, it came up before we started recording.
Sure.
So how do you feel about it?
I guess right for the picking, but don't give me a pumpkin spice latte.
Okay.
Like in other forms, I just don't want the latte.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Leave it on the tree.
Always. Or-
Yeah, pretty much.
Just-
Especially pumpkin beer is like absolute no for me. But yeah, pumpkin spice coffee. Like I don't do creamers, so
Yeah.
I'll put like some nutmeg and cinnamon in my coffee, but I don't really think of that as pumpkin spice.
I mean, if you put a little clove in there, I think that's it.
Pumpkin pie
No.
spice, like that you just buy from the store. Pumpkin
It's
pie
like
spice.
Nutmeg, cinnamon, and clover.
Yeah.
Cloves, right?
And ginger. In your coffee, delicious.
yeah, if it's just in black coffee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no creamer.
Yeah. Then I could go with it. But any kind of like pumpkin spice where you're buying like pumpkin spice on the label, that's where I'm out.
So it's interesting because coffee, if I can't drink flavored, I almost never get flavored coffee.
Yeah.
But if I am going to drink it, it won't be black. It'll be like bells and whistles, sugary, creamed, all that. But pumpkin spice stuff, I'm kind of. I told you had to choose.
You have to.
Yeah, I don't. It's right for me. I don't hate it because
You have more of a sweet tooth.
Yeah. So I was gonna say I love pumpkin pie, but to be honest with you, if I'm baking, I have a choice. It's sweet potato pie, and people are like they taste the same. They do not.
Oh no, they don't
pie
taste the same.
No.
Yeah, sweet
Way
potato
better.
pie, 100%.
Way better than pumpkin pie. Not a discussion. But I actually see pumpkin beer. I wouldn't call that pumpkin spice.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
But
it's
I also
just
don't
anything
mind pumpkin beer. I like the trigger bend a little bit. It's fine.
What?
Yeah, it's all right. I like a good IPA pumpkin, like something that's already a little hoppy.
IPA pumpkin?
Yeah, like
I've never heard of this in my life.
all right. Well, we'll just move on.
I've heard of like pumpkin stout. That's what.
Oh,
or
see, no,
pumpkin porter.
ew.
Like a dark beer with pumpkin.
that does
Well,
sound disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
But if you had like an ale, something a little hoppy with the pumpkin in there, it's nice.
Huh.
Yeah, exactly. See,
I don't think so.
got to broaden your horizon. That's all right.
I'm picky about beer.
Here we go.
All right. So that I had a different thing in mind, but I'm gonna change it up since we had this whole pumpkin spice conversation and ask because we should just get this one out of the way. Candy corn.
Leave it on the tree.
Yeah, leave it on the
Yeah.
tree. They're disgusting.
No, leave it on
It's
the tree.
weird.
Yeah, good.
That's it.
I'm glad that we're.
That's one of
there's,
those.
There's some people that really like candy corn. I just don't get it.
Well,
I
They're
think
wrong.
it's like it's one of these. It's a tradition. We've always had it, so we got to keep doing it. But no, it's like
Here's where you know that it's not good candy. You can try the 3 parts, right? You know that candy corn always has 3 parts. They all 3 taste exactly the same.
yeah, that's just die.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they're not good.
Yeah.
No.
All right, well,
So do
First-
you have a ripe for the picking? for
first
us?
time in
I
Under the
do.
Fig Tree history.
This is history. All of our other guests should be offended right now because we've never allowed this.
I hope they're offended.
Got it.
See, she's got the sass.
So I just get one.
That's what Micah said.
Let's hear this one, and then we'll see how
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, mine is food as well.
Okay.
right.
Tofu.
Ooh, yeah, that's ripe for the picking for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, leave it on the tree. It is vile.
No, man.
You have not had good
See,
tofu.
Yeah.
this is like somebody telling me. So I also don't like mushrooms, and Dorothy's like, "Oh, you haven't had them the right way." Somebody always say you haven't
Yeah,
had them the right way. No,
exactly.
they're vile. Tofu's disgusting.
So is it because of the texture or the taste?
It can taste like anything because it doesn't really taste like
Exactly.
anything. So texture is
Okay.
massive in my palate. Like
Do you like tapioca?
no,
Oh, yeah.
Then he might just never like
you're-
tofu.
Yeah. You gotta like interesting textures, and if you don't like
Mm-hmm.
interesting
see,
stuff,
there's
then
interesting textures and then there's vile textures. Tofu is one of them. Also,
It can get crispy on the outside. though.
Yeah.
If you make it correctly, it can
have you
get.
ever had a tofu in an air crisper?
No.
did you just say air crisper? Like
Do you mean
it's air
air-
fryer?
Air fryer,
No,
Crisper?
no, stop it. It's an air fryer, man.
ninja,
Air fryer.
air fryer. Tofu in a ninja is really, really good.
And too much soy. This is a scientific
Oh,
fact.
come on, man. You're
Well-
gonna go to this.
Well, raise your estrogen, and guys, and girls.
That is why I stopped drinking soy milk.
This is very true, though.
Yeah.
Obviously, like a little bit of tofu here or there isn't bad for you.
Yeah.
But soy is other than soy sauce. That's the only type of soy I want. It's just not.
You, the lover of protein, you're gonna leave tofu is a huge source of protein.
Yeah, but it's not the kind of protein I want.
That's fair.
All protein's not created equally. And tofu is leave it on the tree. That you would never be able to change.
All right,
it.
I think
Never.
you qualified for one more.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is not food related.
Okay.
Man buns.
Oh.
That is a really good question, and we should see if we can find on YouTube the video of the man bun hunter from Concordia Seminary's Follies a couple of years ago.
sure.
Have you heard about this?
No.
Yeah, there was actually a guy found on campus who would carry around a sword and chop off man buns.
Oh, wow.
Because he just hated man buns so much.
Was it you?
Especially on students. No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. But he might live on our street. So
If I had a man bun and a dude ran up to me randomly and chopped it off, he's getting whooped. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. He's getting whooped. Even if he's still holding the sword.
I can't even imagine you having a man bun.
I think for all the right reasons. But here's why it's leave it on the tree for me. Just simply because I can't do it. Yeah. So like I'm not fully bald, but like I am of the opinion, to each his own. But like once you start to get something up there and you're kind of hanging on to it unnecessarily. And again, it's not like I have like 5 hairs on the top of my head. But it started in COVID where I couldn't go to the barber. And if it got too long, then it became really noticeable. So I just shaved it off, and I just haven't stopped. But only because I can't grow one. That's why it's going to be a little bit on the tree. And I don't have the time for like all like the stuff to try to regrow my hair. It's just too much work.
Well, maybe we need one of our listeners to Photoshop a man bun on you.
I bet it would look great.
Yeah.
I bet it would.
So maybe we'll get that.
I would be interested to see that.
I would too.
Yeah, it's leave it on the tree for me too. I've had
a man bun?
Long hair. No, I've never had a man bun. I've had long hair, but never that long. So can Paul pull off the man bun?
I think he's getting
pretty
there.
Close, right?
Yeah, I don't. So he hasn't gotten a real haircut in over a year.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, "Oh, are you going for the man bun?" And he was like, "No." Now I catch him kind of playing with it, and I'm like, "I think he's going for the man bun now. He's just not going to admit it." So
is this your way of telling Paul that he should just do again, if I could, but see, this is the other thing, like my hair is also not straight. It's very curly. I'm biracial, so white and black, so not quite as dense as a fully black person, but far more dense than 99% of white people around the globe. And so like I would have to straighten my hair to do a man bun. And again, I used to have a big massive fro though. Big
I would
afro.
like to see.
Yeah, I can
probably get pictures. Like I could like pull my hair like below my chin.
Wow.
Like, big afro. Yeah.
Wow.
So
nice.
If I could,
Crazy.
I probably would have more hair. But again, can't have
those
everything.
Those were good.
Yeah, you
well
passed the test.
Out.
Tofu man bun. I like both of those.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they were both leaving on the tree, but they were good.
Interesting question.
I don't know.
You're gonna make it.
Yeah,
oh, good.
You're gonna be all right around here. Well, we always end the podcast with asking our guests if there was one piece of advice that you would have for anybody considering seminary. What would that one piece of advice be?
I'd say talk to your pastor. I just, in my kind of small experience, I think that's a big source of influence on somebody. Talk to your pastor, see what they say. I know that was a big influence for my husband. He had a really great home pastor growing up. Just see what they say. And I think my other advice, I don't know if this is okay, but I'm going to say it anyway.
You've broken all the rules.
Right.
Visit both seminaries.
I think that's good. We always tell we tell anybody that asks,
100%.
Absolutely visit both seminaries. Both cities have different things to offer.
100%. Verbatim. I tell people all the time, visit both. Well, Katie, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to CSL. You may or may not see Katie. I don't know. We'll see how I feel after the whole tofu man bun, quickly thinking about Fort Wayne things, struggling to think about CSL things. There's a lot to process. But we're sure glad that you're here working with us, and just excited to see the better that you bring to our team as we move forward over the next year and the years to come. And if you're listening or watching and listening at the same time and have been thinking about becoming a student at CSL, talk to your pastor, but then also fill out a request for information. It's not an obligation, but it helps us know who you are so we can begin the conversation and help you with your discernment process, because we have a lot of people who have been students here before who are able and eager to talk to you. But if you are looking around your home congregation and there's somebody there that you have always thought would be a good church worker in the future, don't think. Tell them, because you could be the person that influences them to take that next step. As always, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time under the fig tree.